Hello, everyone. Welcome to First Online University, a global platform for all your education and growth related needs. In this lecture, we are going to continue with the chapter P block elements, and we'll be continuing with group 14 elements, and particularly we'll be discussing the important compounds of carbon. As I've already told you in the last lecture that carbon is the only element which is capable of showing the catenation tendency to such a high extent, and also the only element which can have thousands of compounds existing. So here we are going to talk about some important compounds of carbon. Before we begin, a piece of information for you. You can use the coupon codes Mission J or Mission NEET while you enroll at First Online University for Mission J or NEET in order to avail good discounts. Let us now begin with important compounds of carbon. Now, some important compounds, although carbon has got a lot of compounds, okay, if we look at organic chemistry is all about carbon, hydrogen, it's all about hydrocarbons, also about other functional groups, but everything, almost everything consists of carbon itself. So there are a lot of important compounds, but some important compounds we are going to take up in this particular lecture. Carbon monoxide is one such compound, then carbon dioxide, carbon suboxide. Then we also are going to talk about other compounds, but let us first discuss these three in detail. So the first one that we have is carbon monoxide. Now carbon monoxide is CO, C triple bond O. Now the direct oxidation, we have already seen that when carbon is going to be oxidized in presence of limited amount of O2, that is oxygen, on heating we get carbon monoxide gas. So limited oxidation of carbon will result in the formation of CO, that is carbon monoxide, and the equation will be balanced when we have just half a mole of O2 being half a mole of O2 reacting with carbon. Next, we look at the laboratory preparation of carbon monoxide. So laboratory preparation actually involves making use of concentrated H2SO4. So what will happen is dehydration of formic acid, that is HCOOH. Formic acid is going to be reacted with concentrated H2SO4, which is a dehydrating agent. We'll take out H2O from there, and what are we going to be left with is just carbon monoxide. And this particular reaction is carried out at 373 Kelvin. So if you look at the formula for formic acid, you will see that if H2, two hydrogens, one oxygen removed, what are we going to be left with is just CO, which is nothing but carbon monoxide. So H2O leaves and we get carbon monoxide as the product. The third method for the preparation of carbon monoxide is the commercial method. Now in commercial method, what do is we have hot coke and we prepare, carbon monoxide is going to be prepared by the passage of steam, that is, boiling hot water over hot coke. So carbon, that is coke in the solid form, will be reacted with steam, that is water in the gaseous form, and that is going to be at a temperature of 473 to 1273 Kelvin. Boiling point of water is 373 Kelvin. So 100 Kelvin above that to a range of 1273 Kelvin, we are going to be heating, and what we get is carbon monoxide gas along with H2 being produced as the side product. Okay. If you see, this is actually water gas. Carbon monoxide, the mixture of carbon monoxide and H2 is together called as water gas. This is a very important fact to learn here. So that is also, apart from water gas, that is also known as synthesis gas or blue gas. Okay, remember, this is very important. You can get a direct question based on this. Next method of preparation of carbon monoxide is combustion of coke. Now, if we take coke, that is nothing but carbon solid, when air is used instead of steam. So here, instead of water in the gaseous form, we are actually making use of mixture of CO, that is carbon monoxide, and N2 being produced. So see, instead of steam, what are we doing is we are making use of air for the same purpose. And when we pass air, that is O2, what do we get is a mixture of CO and N2 is going to be produced, and mixture of CO and H2 was called water gas or blue gas or synthesis gas, but a mixture of CO and N2 is called producer gas. So coke plus O2 is going plus N2 gas is also present. So on heating at 1273 Kelvin, we get carbon monoxide and 4 moles of N2 gas. Here, the mixture of CO and N2. So O2 and N2 is together we are taking as air, because in air, it's not only oxygen that is present, but N2 is also present in a large amount. And then what we are getting as the product is CO, that is carbon monoxide, and N2, which is together called as producer gas. Now we move on to this. So these were the 4 or 5 methods of preparation of carbon monoxide. Now we are going to move on to the physical properties of carbon monoxide. So carbon monoxide is a colorless gas. It has no color, it has no smell, but it is highly poisonous in nature. Whatever the greenhouse gas, it is one of the greenhouse gases that are emitted by the vehicles, from industries, from factories, etc., that is causing a lot of pollution and contributing to global warming, and that needs to be improved. Then carbon monoxide, another important property is that it is going to be insoluble in water. Even if you add carbon monoxide to water, you will simply have bubbles of carbon monoxide coming out of water. It will not get dissolved. Then it is going to burn with a blue flame, and therefore it is known as the blue gas. So since we have talked about carbon monoxide, let's just have a look at few MCQs before we move on to the next compound of carbon. Now, water gas contains, we've already seen what is water gas. It is a mixture of carbon monoxide and H2. So option B is the correct answer. Next question is the carbon solid, when reacted with steam at 473 to 1273 Kelvin, gives what product, and when reacted with air at 1273 Kelvin gives what product. So X and Y are to be predicted. So we know that when it is going to be reacted with steam, that is hot boiling water, then the products that we get is carbon monoxide and H2 gas is going to be liberated, and on reacting with air, that is we get water gas, and Y is nothing but producer gas. So now you have to tell me the answer for this. I've already told you, one is water gas, the other is producer gas. This also gives you a revision of what is water gas and what is producer gas. So here option A is going to be the correct answer. Next question is, in the adsorption of CO gas, that is when carbon monoxide needs to be adsorbed, charcoal is used as. So it's like the one which is adsorbing is the adsorbent, and the one which is getting adsorbed is the adsorbate. Okay, so charcoal is adsorbing, so it is the adsorbent. Option B is the correct answer. Carefully see option D is not adsorbent, it is absorbent. Okay, whenever we are talking about adsorption, we talk about adsorbate and adsorbent. We do not talk about absorber or absorbent. Okay, so this B and D are confusing sometimes, and you might in a hurry, choose the correct answer. That's something that you need to pay attention to. Next, we move on to the chemical properties of carbon monoxide. So we have talked about the methods of preparation of carbon monoxide and the physical properties. Let's quickly now talk about the chemical properties. The first one is reducing properties. So carbon monoxide is a very powerful reducing agent. If I take, for instance, ferric oxide, Fe2O3 solid, and I add CO gas to it, on heating, what do I get is solid iron is going to be formed, and CO2 is going to be produced as the side product. So what do you see? From ferric oxide, oxygen is removed and we get iron. So the removal of oxygen is nothing but the process of reduction. And since CO is responsible for this reduction, CO is acting as a reducing agent, that is, it is reducing the other compound, but it is itself getting oxidized, because from CO it is getting converted into CO2. That is, one more oxygen atom is getting added to it, and therefore it is itself getting oxidized. So it's a very important, very powerful reducing agent. This is how you can balance the chemical equation. Similarly, if you look at zinc oxide, when you add carbon monoxide to it on heating, you get zinc and carbon dioxide as the product. So again, zinc is reduced because oxygen is removed from zinc oxide and we get solid zinc. Next is the poisonous nature of carbon monoxide. Now, carbon monoxide cannot be seen because it is colorless. It cannot be smelled because it is odorless. It cannot even be heard because it does not give a popping sound, just like, the burning of H2 gives. And if it's like flowing, it cannot be stopped. Okay, it's because it's just small atoms, carbon and oxygen. These are very small atoms, so this gas molecule has a very small size and it can easily penetrate through even certain permeable materials. Okay, so therefore it is going to have this poisonous nature. Hemoglobin, first of all, see, in hemoglobin what do we have is oxygen binds to which is present in the porphyrin ring. So what happens is we have a porphyrin ring, okay, and 4 iron atoms are present in each of the 5 membered nitrogen containing rings that we have. Now it is important that to these iron, oxygen gets added or oxygen binds to these iron atoms so that the entire body has the circulation of oxygen only. But sometimes what happens is carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, being a small molecule, can enter into the body, and when we expose ourselves to a lot of to a high concentration of carbon monoxide, then carbon monoxide enters into the body and it starts binding to the iron that is present in hemoglobin. So what will happen is, instead of transporting oxygen to the body, hemoglobin will start transporting carbon monoxide to the body, because it has to anyhow perform its function irrespective of whatever gas molecule is attached to it. So when it starts transporting hemoglobin, the hemoglobin starts transporting carbon monoxide in the body, then what we have is carbon monoxide poisoning taking place, because first of all, lack of oxygen is there, because oxygen is not reaching the brain and other body parts, so there is lack of oxygen in the body. Secondly, there is excess of carbon monoxide in the body, and therefore this poisoning of blood starts taking place with carbon monoxide. So hemoglobin plus O2 is what we have as oxyhemoglobin. But when hemoglobin will bind with CO, that is carbon monoxide, we have carboxyhemoglobin. And carboxyhemoglobin is about 300 times more stable than oxyhemoglobin, which is the reason why carbon monoxide can easily bind to hemoglobin. And this will prevent the hemoglobin in the red blood cells from carrying oxygen, and it will produce suffocation and finally lead to death. So therefore, we should not expose ourselves to excess concentration of carbon monoxide. Now, what are the uses of carbon monoxide? Carbon monoxide, because of the presence of, if you can see, there is a lone pair on carbon, and therefore CO will act as a donor and it will react with certain metals to form metal carbonyls. Also, it's so let us talk about metal carbonyls. So if we have, say, nickel metal which is present, we have nickel tetracarbonyl complex, in which carbon, being the donor atom because it has a lone pair of electrons, is going to be acting as a ligand to the nickel complex, the nickel metal, forming this metal carbonyl complex. Similarly, we also have molybdenum hexacarbonyl complex, where 6 carbonyl ligands are going to bind to the molybdenum atom. Based on this, let's quickly have a look at few MCQs. The number of sigma and pi bonds in carbon monoxide. So we know there is just one sigma bond and there are 2 pi bonds. So option B is the correct answer. Next question that we have to see here is the gas that causes suffocation. So we have seen that suffocation is caused by the presence of carbon monoxide gas too in hemoglobin. So option B is the correct answer. Next question is, carbon monoxide acts as oxidizing agent? No, it itself gets oxidized. That means it is reducing the other compound. Therefore, it is acting as a reducing agent. So option B is the correct answer. Next is, carbon monoxide acts as Lewis acid, Lewis base, arrhenius acid, arrhenius base. Now you'll say, ma'am, we have not covered this question. We have already covered this question just in the last 2 slides that we have studied. We have seen that CO is acting as a donor. Why? Because of the presence of lone pair of electrons on carbon, and presence of lone pair is making it electron rich, and something that is electron rich is a Lewis base. So option B is the correct answer. Next, we move on to the other next compound of carbon, that is carbon dioxide. This is also again a very important compound. Now, when we talk about carbon dioxide, it has the formula CO2. Now we need to talk about the preparation methods of CO2. The first is the oxidation of carbon and hydrocarbons. So when we have carbon solid state reacting with oxygen which is present in excess amount, on heating we get carbon dioxide, right? Similarly, when we have methane gas and it reacts with O2, on heating we get carbon dioxide gas again along with water in the form of steam being produced. Okay, that's another reaction. Then carbon on reaction with concentrated H2SO4 on heating will again give carbon dioxide gas along with sulfur dioxide gas and water being produced. Similarly, carbon on reaction with HNO3, that is nitric acid, will also produce carbon dioxide and NO this time, that is nitrous oxide, along with water. So these are important chemical equations to remember for the preparation of carbon dioxide. Next method is for the preparation of carbon dioxide is the laboratory method. Now in the laboratory method, is prepared by the action of dilute HCl. So when laboratory method means, suppose you are present in lab and you want to prepare carbon dioxide. How do you do that? You will take um, calcium carbonate and you will add dilute HCl to it. When you do that, what will happen is calcium chloride is going to be produced along with water and carbon dioxide. So this is how carbon dioxide can be produced in this particular reaction. So this is the apparatus that is involved for the laboratory preparation of carbon dioxide. If you carefully see, you have marble chips that are present to prevent. So, if you carefully see, whenever we are making use of the round bottom flask, that is RB flask in the laboratory, because we are carrying out some boiling process there, we add some marble chips, or you can say we add some pumic stone to it. Why do we do that? Is because we want to prevent uneven boiling. Okay, bumping we want to prevent. We want the boiling to be very, very uniform. Therefore, we add marble chips or pumic stone to it for this purpose. Then we have dilute HCl being added from the top. And what do we have in the whatever beaker that we have taken alongside? That's the column that we have. Therein we see that carbon dioxide is going to be liberated coming out of the reaction flask, that is RB flask. The third method for the preparation of carbon dioxide is the commercial method. Now, what do we have is on the commercial scale, we will have limestone, that is again calcium carbonate, by just heating it. Okay, we are not reacting with dilute HCl, we are just heating it, but at a very high temperature. Now, you will say, why can't we adopt this method for the laboratory preparation? Because in the labs, it is very difficult to attain such high temperatures. It is only possible at very large scales where we have such high quality machines which can actually maintain temperatures of up to 1600 degree centigrade. So when calcium carbonate is going to be heated at 1600 degree centigrade, we will have calcium oxide being produced and carbon dioxide is also going to be formed, which is the reason why we are carrying out this reaction. So that's conventional cement. If you see, calcium carbonate is present in cement also, so that's conventional cement. And when we are heating it at 1600 degrees centigrade temperature, then carbon dioxide is going to be produced. The fourth method is fermentation of glucose or fructose. Now, what is glucose? C6H12O6. Now, when this in the solid state is going to be treated with the enzyme zymase, so zymase is one particular enzyme. You do not have to go into details of it. What we get is ethanol is going to be produced along with carbon dioxide being released in the gaseous state. So this is also one good method of preparation of not just carbon dioxide, but also ethanol. And this is a very, eco-friendly method, or you can say green chemistry is involved in this method because the products and the reactants that are being formed or the reactants that are being used and the products that are being formed are not dangerous or poisonous or toxic. Okay, ethanol can be used for various other purposes, and also the atom economy is being conserved. So if you see, the alcohol fermentation is going to occur in yeast. So glucose will have two molecules of ADP getting converted into, that is adenosine diphosphate. It will take two phosphates from NAD plus and it will get reduced to NADH and it will form two molecules of ATP so that we get pyruvate, and then from pyruvate we have two acetaldehyde being formed which releases two molecules of CO2, and in this process of NADH getting converted into NAD plus we also have the formation of ethanol from acetaldehyde, which is nothing but a reduction reaction taking place. So this is the entire alcohol fermentation that is taking place in yeast. Now we move on to the physical properties of carbon dioxide. So if you can, relate to what we did in carbon monoxide, it was a greenhouse gas which was being released by vehicles and industries and factories, etc., which is responsible for causing global warming, and a lot of air pollution. Carbon dioxide is causing the same thing here. So carbon dioxide is again colorless and odorless like carbon monoxide, but it is non-poisonous. Okay. Then carbon dioxide is slightly acidic in nature. It is slightly soluble in water. Carbon monoxide was completely insoluble in water, but carbon dioxide is slightly soluble in water. However, its solubility is going to increase with the increase in pressure. So when we increase the pressure, the solubility of carbon dioxide will increase. How do we know that is where, you have these aerated drinks or cold drinks that you have, it actually contains carbon dioxide gas dissolved in water. Now, how this carbon dioxide has been dissolved in that water is at high temperature. So these bottles, when you open it, you get a lot of fizz out of it. Why? Because there is a lot of pressure which is present inside. It is only at very high pressures that you can make carbon dioxide get dissolved in water. So that is why they just come out of soda bottles and aerated drinks. Then carbon dioxide is a simple molecule with multiple bonds present in it. And the force of attraction between the carbon dioxide molecules. So in between two molecules or three molecules of carbon dioxide, what you have is simple weak forces of attraction, that is van der Waals forces. And carbon dioxide is a gas at room temperature. Now let's do a few MCQs based on what we have studied. The reactant and the reagent which is used in the laboratory in preparation of CO2. So we have seen that we use calcium carbonate and dilute HCl. So option B is the correct answer. Next question is the formula of limestone. Limestone we know is calcium carbonate. So solid. So option C is the correct answer. Next question, which enzyme is used in the fermentation of glucose? We have studied that this zymase. Option C is the correct answer. Next, we move on to the chemical properties of carbon dioxide. So we have done the methods of preparation, we have done the physical properties. Now we move on to the chemical properties of carbon dioxide. First is photosynthesis. Now we know that what is photosynthesis? It is a process by which the green plants are going to take up carbon dioxide, in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll and convert it into oxygen. Okay. Also, you can say converted into carbohydrates like glucose. So 6 CO2 plus 12 H2O in the presence of chlorophyll and sunlight, we get C6H12O6, that is glucose, plus O2, that is oxygen, 6O2 and 6H2O. So this is how the process of photosynthesis is occurring. So here carbon dioxide is playing a very important role, because if sufficient carbon dioxide is not present, which cannot really ever happen, because there is a lot of pollution and there is a lot of carbon dioxide present in the atmosphere. Therefore, we need to have in fact more number of plants and trees so that they can take up this carbon dioxide and convert them into more useful products like glucose for the plants themselves and oxygen for us. And water is taken from the soil. Okay, so soil needs to be hydrated as well. We need to use less amount of harmful fertilizers for the soil. Next chemical property is action of water. Now, what happens when carbon dioxide is going to be reacted with water? We have already seen that carbon dioxide has low solubility in water, which makes it of immense importance, okay? Because water with carbon dioxide is going to form carbonic acid, which is nothing but soda water. That is H2O plus CO2 in a reversible reaction will form carbonic acid, which is H2CO3. And H2CO3, when water is going to be added to it, will form HCO3 minus ion, that is bicarbonate ion, along with H3O plus, that is hydronium ion. Okay, and the primary ionization, that is one ionization of H2CO3, will result in the formation of bicarbonate ion, which on addition of water will undergo a second ionization to form carbonate ion, that is CO3 2 minus, and that is secondary ionization of carbonic acid. Next important chemical property of carbon dioxide is the carbonic acid buffer. So carbonic acid along with the bicarbonate ion together are going to form a buffer system, which is actually responsible for maintaining the pH of blood approximately 7.2 to 7.4. That is what the pH of blood is, and this buffer is responsible for maintaining this pH. Now, if we look at the structure of carbon dioxide carbon undergoes sp hybridization because it's a linear molecule, so it is sp hybridized, and it will form 2 sigma and 2 pi bonds with 2 oxygen atoms, as we can see in the structure itself. It is linear in shape and it has zero dipole moment because oxygen, being more electronegative, will have the dipole pulling towards one end, the other will pull towards the other end, and these two dipoles are going to cancel each other. So overall, the molecule has a zero dipole moment because of linear geometry or shape. Now, if we look at the resonance structure of CO2, what we see is that if we have one single bond and one triple bond with the two oxygen atoms, then one oxygen with a single bond will have a negative charge, the other with a triple bond will have a positive charge, and this can actually be balanced by taking the negative charge towards carbon and the other pi bond towards oxygen, so that we have this structure. And now the another shifting of a pi bond will take place to get to form what we have as the other structure of the first structure. So in all these three structures, we see that both carbon as well as oxygen will have a complete octet configuration. And due to the presence of resonance, the CO bonds, both of the CO bonds have equal lengths of 115 picometers. Now, what are the uses of carbon dioxide? Solid carbon dioxide, we know, is dry ice. It is used as a refrigerant for ice cream and frozen food because it will not melt into the liquid form. It will directly go into the gaseous form, that is the vapor form. Then it is also used in the manufacture of sodium carbonate by the Solvay's process. 95% O2 plus 5% CO2 is nothing but carbogen, which is used for victims of carbon monoxide poisoning. We have just seen in the previous section of this lecture that carbon monoxide can bind with hemoglobin, and carbon monoxide is going to be transported in the body, causing carbon monoxide poisoning. Although it ultimately leads to death, but when we make a mixture of 95% O2 and 5% CO2, we get a material called carbogen, and this carbogen material can actually be used to treat carbon monoxide poisoning in victims. Then I've already told you it is used in making of aerated water, aerated drinks, etc., and also in the manufacture of fire extinguishers. Then it is also used in the manufacture of urea, which is used as fertilizers. So ammonia plus carbon dioxide on heating at 200 degrees centigrade and 200 atm pressure, we get urea, that is NH2COO minus NH4 plus, and water when taken out of it will give me NH2CONH2, which is nothing but urea. So ammonium carbamate is the intermediate that is going to be formed to get urea ultimately by dehydration. Now let's quickly have a look at few MCQs. How many molecules of carbon dioxide and water are involved in photosynthesis? We have seen it is 6 each. So, 6 and 12. 6 and 6 of carbon dioxide and O2, but 12 of water. So that's an important chemical equation that you need to know. So option D is the correct answer. Next is, what is dry ice? Carbon dioxide solid is dry ice. So option D is again the correct answer. Next is, what is pH of blood? We have already seen it is 7.2 to 7.4. So option B is the correct answer. Lastly, which is used as a fire extinguisher? We have seen that not CO2, CO2 definitely, not CO, not CH4, not SO2. So option A is the correct answer. So this is all about these two very important compounds of carbon that we had to discuss, which are important from examination point of view. That is carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. We have discussed the chemical properties, physical properties, uses, preparation, everything that is required. And it's like beyond this, there is nothing, no scope of this particular topic, that is important compounds of carbon. So you can subscribe to our YouTube channel for joining YouTube live classes for best NEET or JEE coaching. You can also download the First Online University mobile app through Google Play Store or App Store for continuous learning through your smartphones. Keep learning with First Online University, a team of millions of learners and educators worldwide.